Streaming? Perhaps? Yes. Yes, it is streaming. Good. I can even see it there. Nice! It is 9:15. I am starting 15 minutes early today because today's episode of Taskmaster is no ordinary episode. It is the 200th episode of Taskmaster. And this reaction, or this preview to the reaction, is no ordinary reaction. It is the 300th reaction, probably. I'm estimating. I have not. I have not reacted to every single Taskmaster, but I mean, probably I've done like at least like 150, and then I spend twice as long as them, so that like that equals 300. I have not thought this through, but it's going to be a special one anyway. I am starting early, and I'm going to go through my notes and the TaskRat stat stack as usual. Let's see. I just need to make sure I can see comments. I don't believe there's any comments yet. There's the top chat thing. Oh, that's really small if I put it there. Okay. Well then. 200 episodes. So I started a little bit before 100 episodes is when I discovered Taskmaster. Because the 100th episode was Series 12, and I discovered it around Series 10. I had seen some of Series 2, and then I saw Series 10 as it came out, and started going back to some of the other ones, and yeah, that's been 5 or 6 years now since that, which is kind of frightening. I mean, the way Taskmaster goes, it all meshes together. It feels like there's no gaps, and that it should like have all been condensed into like just 2 years total. Like the past 10 series should have taken like 2.5 years max. But of course, we know it's 2 series per year. We can do the math. But let me talk about this series. There's the TaskRat stat stack. Let's talk about what you, the viewers, can win. I have reached out to several awesome viewers who may be able to join me in the 10th episode if they earn enough points. They could join me in the 10th episode and laugh at the contestants and help me score tasks. So at the end of every episode, I have a couple extra points to spare. And anybody who has been participating particularly well will get a point. And so far, Nico's the only person who has gotten let's not do the fantasy stuff yet. Nico's the only one who's gotten anything for the past 2, so somebody else had better arrive. And yeah, I know I started early this time, so I don't know. I've got more to say this time, basically, because of the 200th episode. So Fantasy Taskmaster. I have bad news with this. Is the bad news that I'm not doing well? Well, kind of, but kind of not. So if you don't know what Fantasy Taskmaster is, every week before the episode goes out, you can answer questions on the Taskmaster app to predict what you think is going to happen. You can predict who you think you will win, and then there's random questions like, will there be a task in the lab? Or will this thing we see in the intro actually happen this episode or not? Or stuff about team tasks. And yeah, I was doing pretty okay until last week. I have not announced what my score was last week for episode 5, and that is because apparently it didn't go through. I completed the questions like right after episode 4. I like just did it and submitted them, and apparently it didn't submit. And whoever's fault it is, it's not mine, obviously. But I missed a week, which means it's going to be very difficult for me to catch up. So maybe week 6 will be better, except that I didn't want to do it straight away since I found that by doing it straight away something went wrong, or I did, and obviously not my fault. I must have hit submit. I must have, but because it didn't submit early, I decided I was going to do it late this time, but then I did it too late, and I'm getting no points this week either. So yeah, I've already given myself, well, that's just a dash there, but zeros for 2 weeks in a row. I think this is the end of my fantasy Taskmaster run this year. It's the best one I've had, though, because I usually forget to even start until episode 3 or 4. So, yeah, if you miss any, it's just, that's it. Even if I miss one, like, maybe I could get a semi-decent score, but 2, nah. So I don't know how many points I would have gotten last week. I did not predict the winner last week. That would have been Armando. I remember I predicted one of the girls. But yeah, 3 episodes in a row I did predict the winner. And so far, I'll tell you what I predict this week anyway. Everybody's won except Kumail. Everybody has won at least one episode. So I think it's going to be either this week or next week that he wins one. I think he definitely will win. And I think it will be soon. He might even win multiple. Who knows? But, yeah, let me get a quick drink and then we'll continue. Oh. By the way, after this stream, we will be moving over to Patreon to watch episode 6, which is out already. Some of you may have seen it. But I'm going to watch it tonight in about 30 minutes. And there's a link in the Is there a link in the... Let me check that there's a link in the description. There it better be. What's happening? I can go back there. It does say stream quality is excellent. This is still pretty new to me, streaming on YouTube. Or streaming in general, because I used to just record and upload. Yep, I've got a link. You can go over to Patreon. And you have to be a member. You don't have to pay anything, but for whatever for whatever reason the website wants you to be a member, and you get it for free. You just have to click a few things. Blah 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 blah. But then you can watch with me. Okay, so next thing to talk about. Oops. Hang on. Hang on. Okay, first of all, can you hear me still? Let me see. Okay, yes. That is still going. Mic is still going. But what happened to my face? Oh. Okay, just a sec. Droid Cam, what is happening? Why is this different? You were working a minute ago. This is not good. This is no good. Oh, there we okay. I fixed it because I'm a genius. Obviously, that's what happened. Okay. Let's talk more about Taskmaster. Wait, I was about to say right now, and then it paused again. What happened? What? What? I don't want the stream to be like this. I don't want to be about me complaining about stuff in technology. That's what always happens. Or that's what happens sometimes. And then, yeah. Okay, but I just tapped the screen a couple times and now it seems better. Let me view my channel to see how this is going. Live. This thing is live. Right. Okay. That sucked. But now we will talk about Taskmaster a little more. So what I haven't talked about, something that I've alluded to since episode 1 of this series, I was going to make a whole video about this, and then I didn't have time, and then I figured I would talk about it sometime during the series, is how much I really love Kumail Nanjiani, and how much I am rooting for him. Because I mean, I have mentioned it, but specifically, why? Why do I love him so much? Well, okay, so he is American and Pakistani previously and currently, but like previous before becoming American. But I found him on Portlandia like 10, 15 years ago. That was like 15. Yeah, close to that. And he was hilarious on that show, and I found some of his stand-up work, which was just incredible. I loved his stand-up work. There's something about him, something about his voice and the words he uses and the cadence of his voice where anything he says, everything he says is funny to me. And I don't know why. There's everybody I think has something like that where this one thing hits you in the exact it hits your funny bone in the exact right place at the exact right angle, and that's what Kumail does to me. And I was so excited for him to be on Taskmaster. I didn't and I didn't think there was going to be any chance that he would ever do it. uh I mean, yeah, we had Jason Mantzoukas on, another American, but like like, what are the chances of the very few comedians, American comedians that I follow, what are the chances that any of them are ever going to appear on this British television show? It was zero to me. I thought it was zero, and yet it turns out Kumail is a huge fan, and yeah, I am really enjoying this series. He's my favorite contestant. I am enjoying all the contestants, but if they want to become my favorite contestant this series, they've got a lot of work to do to catch up to Kumail's huge head start in my mind. Okay, that's basically what I wanted to say. He's hilarious in Portlandia. And I wonder if he knows any of those rats from Portlandia, the Portlander rats. Maybe I can ask him sometime. Okay. Let's actually talk a little more about last week's episode. I'll skip those. Let's talk about one task at a time. Prize task. A surprising, quite big thing to conceal on your person. This was good, but I was surprised by how few people actually tried to conceal it live in front of the audience. All right, there were only two people who attempted that. That's Armando and Joel. So obviously one of them has to be the winner. And honestly, well, Greg said that it would be really funny if Joel wasn't the winner. But I think he might have still been thinking of giving him 5 points until Armando said the "it's relative" line. As soon as that happened, Armando won totally. No question. I just rewatched that moment, and you can see Kumail's jaw drop when he says that. It's hilarious. So, I mean, spoilers if you haven't seen it. I'm sure you have, but like, yeah, Armando had one hell of an episode, and that was a great start to it. Overall, his prize task was a little bit disjointed with the book, The Theory of Relativity, and Lamp and Sandwich, but it, in a way that it kind of benefited from that. It just made it funnier. And and you know, it was supposed to be surprising, so the fact it was disjointed made it more surprising. Okay. Everyone else, we couldn't even really see where Kumail's balloon was hidden in, and we didn't. I really wanted to see Amy's life raft inflate instead of just having a before and after. That really sucked. I think, yeah, those two, and especially Joanna, those three really dropped the ball. Joanna most of all, with her crystal that didn't that is not fooling anyone. That Greg said I think you could see from outer space. All right. The next task was write down a prediction for an unlikely situation to occur in exactly 15 minutes' time. Then make that unlikely situation occur. So again, Armando won this task. He had almost well, I mean, I couldn't wait to say this, but he had almost a perfect episode. And yeah, he deserved to win this. He had a simple, like a short prediction of the sheep farting out an ostrich, which was a beautiful, beautiful comedic prediction, and then in his actual attempt, he was able to round out some of the details. That was a very, very good job by Armando. All right, really glad to see that. Um, really glad to see him improve. I'm not glad to see the actual thing that he caused to happen, but yeah. Let's talk about Joel. Joel was the worst, and I'm surprised he got 3 points. I gave him just one. Yeah, you know what? Let's just look at the. Where's my mouse? Yeah, I gave Joel 1 point for that one versus 3. I don't know how he got 3 points for his Joel and 1. Because, first of all, he hit that golf ball how many times? Who knows? No way was it a hole in one or a Joel in one. But I do realize now that golf ball was on the picture, was on the thumbnail for the episode. And that's what I got confused with later on in the episode. Because I had thought I had seen somewhere a picture of Joel with his egg with Greg Davies' face on it. And then I didn't see that happen anywhere in the episode. And that's because it wasn't an egg with Greg Davies' face on it. It was a golf ball with his own face on it, which looked quite similar. Yeah. I don't have an ending to that sentence, really. But that was interesting. Okay. Amy's was fine. Amy's was really funny. And she got the title point. I gave her the title point for Don't Scroll. There were several good options, title options from Amy this episode, including I was going to do 10 Tiny Men from the prize task, but I've already had 2 other prize task titles this this series, so I wanted to avoid that. But Amy really seemed to come into her own this episode. She kind of was washed into the background a bit for me so far this series, but definitely not last episode. Okay. Joanna did well. How much did I give her? I gave her 4. I think, she basically just told a story and made it happen, but it was effective. What was the actual thing? Was it the most unlikely situation wins? Or just best interpretation wins? I don't know, but I had a tough time scoring that task apart from first place and last place. But yeah, I haven't necessarily been treating Joanna very well and giving her very many points. So yeah, she has been doing well, and she got 4 points in that one. And then who haven't I talked about? Kumail. Yeah, then make time go backwards, where he did. Oh, I was meaning to watch that again to see if I could figure out what actually happened, because apparently everyone disagrees on what actually happened. And I've got poor eyesight, which if you're watching this, you'll have heard me say that before. But sometimes when I watch, I don't get all the details. So, like, I don't even know if the sand was going up or down. I don't know. I just assumed, based on context, that it should be going up, but I didn't like see individual grains happening. I need to watch that again to make sure I understand that. But also, was he speaking backwards? Or was the film backwards? Or was he just speaking to sound like he was speaking backwards? So, like, right now, time is going forward. But I could say that I'm just going. What? I could say that. I can say that, right? I think that's what he did. I think he just spoke as if he was backwards. And which means which he wouldn't have to do if he made time go backwards. But he still could do. He could do it if he wanted. If he could make time go backwards, like he could speak however which way he wants, whichever way he thinks makes the best impression. So I did like it, but yeah, I did have trouble scoring that task, and I only gave him 3 points. So I don't know. That one was fine. Oh. Anybody else? Let's see. What's the next one? Wind sardines. I think if I were part of the Taskmaster production team, I would have set the Wind Sardines task up differently. As it turns out, I think it ended up working beautifully anyway. But I think this is really one that should have worked with, where they should have tried to even out the teams, like way back in Series 2 when they let Josh Whitcomb come back for one of the team tasks. I think they should have done that, but as it turns out, it worked out beautifully anyway, with Amy and Joel being, with Joel saying the creepiest things without sounding creepy somehow. That was hilarious. And both Kumail and Joanna's conversations with Alex were great, especially Joanna's, because that one wasn't a conversation. That was just a monologue from Joanna. I think it is difficult to have a conversation with Joanna without it being just her monologuing. Both of those are really funny. And Joel's call back to the crystal is one of my favorite moments this series so far. I said that these contestants are going to have a really long uphill battle if they want to become my favorite over Kumail, but Joel is actually almost succeeding. I'm really enjoying him. I'm really glad I've got to know a little bit about him. That's not, that sounded creepy. I mean, I'm glad I got to be introduced to him. That's not creepy. That is a regular sentence. Okay. Next task. Get a ball through the pipe and into the glass. That was paraphrased, but yeah, my very first thought there was to leave the lab, which it seemed like almost nobody else thought about. I'm pretty sure if I was there, I would have still thought to leave. I know it's different when you're there and you're in the midst of things, but I don't know. It just, it didn't feel constricted to me. I felt like, oh, I should be going into the kitchen and to the living room and whatever to figure out how to solve this. But no one else seemed to do that. That's really the only note I had for that task. Was, come on, folks, use your brains. Yeah, they did fine with the leave the lab task. Sorry, not the leave the lab task, the ball, pipe, glass task. And I did know immediately what the water was for. I did know immediately you should make some sort of funnel or some sort of tube. I also had an idea, which I mentioned during this stream. I paused the episode, or maybe I didn't pause it. I think I just said it after the fact, after the episode was over. My, what's the word? I mean, my solution, my way of not cheating it, my hack, that's the word. My hack would have been, I can't affect the ball after I release it, well, then I'm just not gonna release it. So, for instance, if that tube, that pipe that Ollie was holding had been huge, then I could just put my whole fist down there with the ball. No, it wasn't huge, but I could, like, stick it onto the end of a pokey thing, or, like, put some gum on the end of a pencil or a long stick or something and shove it through, and then it's still within my grasp. And I would just never release the ball, and I'd get it after it goes through the pipe, and then I'd plop it in the glass with the water to stop it. I think even before I thought of the water, I thought of like some fabrics or cotton to stop that. That might be even better. Okay. There was only one more task to talk about from last episode before we see the next one. Only one more task to talk about, and that was the live task. Swing your ring onto your thing to win a ring. If you win, you swing again. And first to 5 wins. Actually, let me get a drink real quick and then I'll talk about that. Drink. Okay, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm sort of feeling good, but I'm also wishing I didn't start early. Because that means right now I could be ending the stream and going to watch the episode. Well, it wouldn't be right now because it would be 15 minutes later. But I would have had 50 more minutes to rest. So, the last task, swing your ring, blah, 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 blah. I have played that game before. I was at a resort, and it was exactly like they had it on stage, except the ring and the hook were a lot smaller. It was the same distance, roughly, like you were standing several feet away from where you were swinging, and it was a very long rope. And it was really hard to get that ring on the thing. If they had the same, if they had the same dimensions in the live text, that might have taken forever. Luckily, they made everything bigger, or I mean, the ring and the thing bigger, but not the distance. So, yeah, and it was really cool to see Armando do well on that. He did not get a perfect episode because of that task, but I mean, he was awfully close. So he got 24 points. Yeah, let's scroll down to that. Where's my mouse again? 24 points from Greg's scores, and it's still a respectable 20 in my score. Let's see. Why didn't I say? Oh yeah, because yeah, Armando only got 20 points in my series because I score the team task differently and because I scored the live task differently. Neither of those were really his fault. He got a 5 in everything else. In both of the subjective tasks, he got a 5 from both me and Greg. But I scored the final task just by how many rings they won total, not by what place they came in. Okay. We got a couple minutes left. Actually, let me look through my notes if there's anything I missed. But what I wanted to do is go take a look overall at what the series standings. For episode scores here, overall, pretty similar between me and Greg for the last episode, aside from him just giving out more points in general. But the series scores, I am surprised by. Genuinely surprised by. Ooh, hello. Kai 13. The arrow. Hello. Okay. I do not recognize that name. But in about 5 to 10 minutes, we are going to click on the link in the description and go over to Patreon, and you have to be a member, but you don't have to pay. You just have to click a thing. That's how the site works. But we are going to watch episode 6 of Taskmaster. Episode 200 of Taskmaster, which is the 21st series at 6th episode. Anyway, you're probably a Taskmaster fan. You probably know what I'm talking about. But I'm going to watch that soon. And as I said, the series scores, I am surprised by how close this is. That is 86 to 72. Only a 14-point gap from top to bottom. How did that happen? It has taken me a little bit of time to actually carefully think about that and figure out how did that happen. Because just a couple episodes ago, it was, we don't have the numbers here because it was in the middle of an episode, but Alex mentioned both ladies were in the 50s and all of the men were in the 30s. It was like a 20-point gap. And yeah, okay, 20 to 14 isn't a huge difference in 2 episodes, but it's like I'm just trying to find out where those numbers came from. And I'm looking just at Greg's scores here, by the way. Let's see. So Armando was last in the previous week. So yeah, he was behind by 7 points. So that difference there from the last person to the first person got reduced by about 7 because he made all of that up. But I was wondering, how is Kumail only 11 points from the lead? Because I thought he wasn't doing well. Well, it turns out, like here, he was 17 points behind the lead. But then, let me see these two. Wait a minute. Sorry, I'm still doing the math. Oh no, that's an 18. Yeah, he gained 2 over Amy there, and 5 over Amy there. It's like everyone seems to be doing about the same, but there's just enough differences in just the right ways to close the gaps. I don't know how to explain it. It was clear in my head before I did this. Or when I looked at it last week. But what about my series scores? It is very close at the top. Unfortunately, Armando is still quite far behind, but we've got 4 people within 8 points of each other, and Kumail's in the lead. My favorite, Kumail, which I don't believe you two were here earlier, but I did finally explain kind of why I liked Kumail earlier today. So, yeah. We're winding down on this part of the stream. Let me think of anything else. I want to say. Yeah, because Kumail could win this Greg series too. Only 11 behind if he has a good episode now. 11 isn't horrible. I mean, it's not great, but basically, we're halfway through the series. Some contestants are going to have a better first half than their last half, and some will do vice versa. And if it turns out that the girls both had a better first half than their last half, then that means everything's going to be really close. And that definitely could happen. We don't know yet, though. So I do think, from what I know about Kumail, that he has some good things to come. Okay. Anything else to talk about? So many numbers. Ah. Okay, let me get a drink, and I mean, it's 9:55 now, so might be a good time to stop, stretch, and then meet back up over at Ratrion to watch the 200th episode of Taskmaster. I'll just sit here and drink for another minute and see if I think of anything special to talk about. I don't think so. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm loving this series. Let's stop streaming here and give me 3 to 5 minutes, and we will begin again over on Patreon to watch episode 6 of series 21 of Taskmaster. See ya there.